So are we all good?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's encourage a bit of participation. Type in the chat where you're calling in from.
Is the chat enabled? Because I see here chat is disabled.
Oh, really? Dear.
Hi, everyone. Melinda Lim, there's some technical issue, so she's working on that. So we'll
Okay,
join the meeting.
no problem.
Her.
Chat. Oh dear. I don't see any problem with the chat. Let me see. Chat.
We cannot type to everybody.
The current.
Hi, Brian. Can you share me the meeting ID because Melinda subject some technical issue and require a meeting ID.
I've got someone who can message. Is the chat on for you guys? Sorry, one moment. So technical.
It's not
seeing it.
What?
Chat disabled. That's what it said.
Oh. Meeting group chat. No, you.
Yeah, we can see your hello, but we cannot type at all.
But you cannot type.
Yes. Chat disabled. Perhaps it's the room setting.
Oh, okay. I found a setting.
Now
Can
I
you
can
try
see.
that?
Yeah.
Can you do that?
Yes, now we can type. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Now I learned something. Every day we learn something. Okay, so I think we've got everyone here already. So we're gonna start. So because time is so important, right? I am going to share my screen again.
Yeah, we have to type in the chat. Where are we calling in from?
Yeah, please type in the chat where you're calling in from. Are we all good?
Yeah. Yay. Oh, we have someone from London. Hi.
Okay, everyone.
Hi, Dora.
Hi,
from
guys.
teaching.
Not sure if you can hear me, but I've managed to connect my microphone. It's Ali here.
Hi.
Oh, hello, Ali. Hi. So,
Hi,
okay.
guys.
Sorry about that. So I'm gonna share this slide. Show this slide. Yeah. So this congratulations, and I'm really glad you've made it here. In the next 1 hour to 1.5 hours, you are going to learn about the Enneagram, the very basic understanding of what Enneagram is, and how it is going to be very useful for communication techniques and understanding both yourself and the person that you're talking to.
Not free,
Hello, could the
Okay.
participants mute? Okay, so you can see from a poster on the slide that, we very often we talk to everyone that we meet, especially at work, and sometimes our clients and our customers, and we use a script and we prepare information. But the important thing is when we're having one-to-one conversations, different people respond differently. So I learned something very interesting with Cindy, and she taught me that when we understand different people into and we're able to appreciate how we different people fall into different types, we will be able to communicate more effectively. Let me do a very brief introduction of how I got to meet Cindy. Actually, it was by pure chance because towards the end of last year, I was in Singapore visiting family, and by pure chance, I met her at a BNI meeting. And then I got really intrigued with what the Enneagram concept is about. And in March, I signed up for all the courses and I learned a great deal of and what Enneagram is, and it was something very, very useful for me, both for my self-development and also in order to help me for my business. So Cindy is the founder of the Enneagram Academy. It is a 12-year-old business, and she has been teaching hundreds and hundreds of people, actually thousands of people, but she's held 2 conferences in the recent 4 years, and she's taught hundreds of trainers and people who are coaches. So today we're very privileged, and I'm gonna pass the time over to Cindy so that she can really bring us up to speed on what Enneagram is, and more specifically, we're going to learn some very interesting communication techniques, and she will share with us some stories. What we've discussed is that we were going to keep this conversation and her presentation very informal. I'm sure Cindy is quite happy for anyone to interrupt along the way. You can type it in your chat conversation, and we will answer questions on the fly. So let me stop share, and I'll pass the slide to Cindy.
Okay, just 1 second. Let me share sound, share screen. Everything is shared. Right, here we are. Okay, so this is the Enneagram. Enneagram is a diagram of 9 types, 9 points, 9 different worldviews, 9 different ways of living life, 9 different ways in which our body is wired, 9 different thinking pattern, feeling pattern, and communication styles, right? So first of all, thank you very much for being here, spending this next hour or so with us. And learning the Enneagram has been really a journey for me. When I first got to learn this 13 years ago with Dr. Claudio Naranjo, who is based in California, it really changed the way, firstly, the way I see myself and the way I understood myself, and also the way that I see others and the way I communicate with others. And this is really a lifelong journey, it's like a personal development journey, learning about self and learning about how to communicate more effectively with the different Enneagram types. So be it if you're here for business related, right? Or even personal life, I'm sure you'll bring back something useful for yourself. Okay, so if you have any question, just feel free to type it in the chat box at any time. When I see that it's appropriate, I would answer them as we go along. Just a quick introduction. I think Freeven have shared a lot. This is our level 2 program, where it is really a coaching certification program. And we actually have a team in Singapore and in Malaysia. I also teach in Malaysia and Taiwan and Hong Kong. I'm effectively bilingual, so I also teach in Mandarin with full Mandarin materials. I just translated my 4th book. Let me see. My 4th book, which is Knowing Me, Knowing You, which is this, okay, into Mandarin. So currently this is in English in Singapore. And I also have written a 5th book that is on parenting, and also for educators. Yeah. So that's my background. I am accredited with the International Enneagram Association. There's probably about 10 in Singapore and hundreds worldwide. There are only 23 accredited schools worldwide as well, and we are the first to be accredited in Southeast Asia. My background is in psychology and business, and what I'm always interested is about relationship building, and why some people can click, why some people cannot click, why the same messaging can be misinterpreted by different types. They're perceived differently by different types, and we'll talk about that a little more later. Okay, so a quick video about what the Enneagram can do.
Enneagram is the most powerful personality profiling tool for self-improvement, relationship building, and business. It is far more effective than DISC and MBTI. Using Enneagram, individuals can identify their strengths, weaknesses, blind spots, motivations, and their next step to a breakthrough. Enneagram helps singles to be laser sharp in their search, couples in their marriage and parenting, CEOs to manage staff effectively, HR to screen candidates efficiently, and sales teams to read clients easily. For coaching, training, or corporate team bonding workshops, have coffee with us at coffee@relationshipstudio.sg.
Okay, so for those of you who like to read up in depth about different types in a written form, this is a QR code you can scan. It'll bring you to our website. So Relationship Studio and the Enneagram Academy, we are affiliate company. Why? Because when I first started, I wanted to help people in relationship building. So that was how Relationship Studio came about. But when we started working with corporates, we have the feedback that this branding looks like a dating agency of sorts. So we also developed another branding, which is the Enneagram Academy, that is more professional, that offers a certification for coaches and trainers. So it grew out of the growing demand of our community as well. So here we are. Let's go. Let's jump into the 9 types. Obviously, today is only about less than an hour or so. Our typical program in Singapore, that is Skills Future funded, is a 2-day program. So I'm trying to squeeze something in 2 days into something that is less than an hour. So you might realize I would give you the head, I'll give you the tail, which is the conclusion, and the application, but somewhere in the middle is kind of missing. Okay, so you might realize there might be a leap of logic somewhere, but that's the best we can do with the interest of time. Okay, I just wanted to make this very practical and useful for you, so you can bring back with some tips to either stop observing people differently and probably communicate with people differently moving forward as well. Yeah, but I would say you won't be like a master level right after today, but at least you can start to see the difference. Okay, so let's start. So what is the Enneagram and what is it all about? How is it different from other profiling tools? So I'm sure a lot of you have tried like other profiling tools like DISC or Myers-Briggs, MBTI, right? So over here, I'm going to explain how is Enneagram different. Okay, so an average leader is able to connect well with 3 out of 9 Enneagram types, 3 out of 9. But a high mastery leader is able to connect with 8 out of 9 or even 9 out of 9. Yeah, 3 out of 9 is like your style. It's naturally appealing because it's very similar to you. But if you want to really do more in life, to be able to communicate well with more people, more versatile, then you really need to figure out the rest. So there will be certain groups of people that you typically find it challenging, right? The challenging or difficult to handle. And with this framework, it actually helps us get out the box to realize that, hey, they're not trying to be difficult. It's just that we have not understood them yet. So once we understood where they are coming from, what do they want when they behave in a difficult manner, probably you will have some insights as to how to engage them better. Okay, so the Enneagram is different from other profiling in this way, okay? So this is a tree. So if you like to take a photo or screenshot, this is the page that you might want to take a screenshot. So the top part of the tree is the personality traits. Oh, okay. So someone asked about the slides. So well, I will not be sending out the slides, but then you are free to take photos or screenshots. What we have here is something very basic. If you like to read up more, that website is actually giving you much more information, the QR code just now where you scan. Okay, so let's come back. Personality traits. Now, there is no right or wrong to personality traits. Okay, it is basically whether it's appropriate to showcase these traits at this time. Is it the right place, the right time, the right dosage? How do you adjust it? That is based on wisdom and experience in life. So there is no right or wrong about being like a cautious person, right? Or an adventurous person. There's no right, no wrong. It's all about being appropriate. So personality traits are widely measured by a lot of profiling tools like the Big Five, like DISC. Those are just behavioral traits. And behavioral traits does change, depends on your life stages, depending whether are you in a leadership role or now are you in a support role? Did you just got promoted? Are you becoming a parent? You know, different life stages. You need to showcase different things, you behave differently. So traits change. Okay, traits can change, right? And you develop more traits to be more versatile, to adapt in different environment. And that is what most profiling tools measure. However, let's look at the next layer, which is character. Now, character is a different thing. Now, character has got some moral connotation of black and white, right or wrong, right? So the traits, no right, no wrong. Character, there is right and wrong, and there's some moral connotation. So for a lot of us that speaks Mandarin, so we say 性格 and 品格, right? But they're actually not the same, right? 品格 has got some moral connotation. So character is a different thing from personality traits. And then let's go even deeper. That is the ego structure, where the roots are. Ego structure talks about how our body is wired. Okay, so it even goes into the biology element. That in itself is a 2-day masterclass that I have attended with a trainer in Spain about how the different Enneagram types, how our body is wired. Certain types, you know, you will realize some people are just naturally very anxious, easily anxious. Certain people easily angered. Certain people, they feel sad easily, like very sensitive, right? You say they're very sensitive. Certain people are just others focused more than self focus, right? And there are some people who are just detached from emotions. So it's hard for you to read them as well. So these are all wired into our body. So that in itself is a 2-day masterclass by itself, learning about the biology wiring of the 9 different Enneagram types. But without going into the details of biology, you would already notice our body responds differently in the same situation. Some gets nervous easily, you know, and some hold in emotions pretty well, so on and so forth. So this is actually what the Enneagram measures. It talks about how your body is wired, what is your core motivation, what are your core fears, what are you trying to avoid most, and how do you see the world, and what are your unconscious impulses, which means without thinking too much, the unconscious impulses is like your autopilot way of doing something. And it's all measured by the Enneagram. That means the core motivation. So if I were to use a one-liner to summarize, how is Enneagram different from other profiling tools, is that most profiling tools tells you what are you like, or probably how you go about doing something. But the Enneagram actually talks about why do you do that thing? Why would you do it? Okay, so there is a big why. So different Enneagram types can behave the same way, but out of a different motivation. So now let's just do a quick poll, okay, at the chat, okay? I would like you to type. There are certain types here that have difficulty saying no or rejecting people. Okay, make a guess which are the types. There are a few types that tend to showcase the same behavior, right? But they are doing that out of a different motivation. So I will explain the motivation, but just by looking at this, make a guess. Which are the types that may have difficulty saying no or rejecting people? Please type it in the box. Okay, Peacemaker, thank you, Cindy. And Peacemaker, okay. The helper, yes. So these are the two that finds it hard to reject people, and I'll explain why. Okay, so a lot of you say 9, right? Because the need to avoid conflict. In fact, for type 9, they don't even have to get to the face of conflict. There is a need to avoid discomfort. Any potential signs of conflict arising is causing discomfort. And 9s are very sharp in spotting any potential discomfort arising. And if they can sense it coming, they will do whatever that's needed to build comfort. Okay, so that's for type 9. And that's also their relationship currency, which is comfort. They're very good at making people feel comfortable, so they are trying to avoid any discomfort. So saying no and rejecting people makes you uncomfortable. So if I know that it's going to make you feel uncomfortable, then it's going to make me feel uncomfortable. So I will not want to do it. So for the 9, it's hard to reject people. So, okay, let me ask you then. I'm sure you probably know some type 9 in your life, right? How do they then reject you? How did you get it as a rejection? Like, okay, I get it, you don't want to do it. How do the 9s typically reject people? Because saying no is difficult, right? So what are some of the strategies they use to navigate through such situations? Any idea? You can also type in the chat box. What are your experiences? How do type 9 reject or say no? What have you gotten so far? How were you treated by the 9s before? Or if you are a 9, you suspect you are a 9, what are the strategies you tend to use? Okay, please type to, yes, they can be non-committal, exactly. Silence, no direct answer, yes. Yes, give some excuses, sounds good, but maybe next time. Or, Dora, you're right. And they would usually say is, others. It's my husband that don't want to buy lah. It's not me. Sounds good, but it's my husband. So somehow, if you're dealing with a 9, somehow the people around the 9 are the bad people. It's never them. Yeah, they will tell others probably. They will tell others about it, or yeah, no decision, sitting on the fence, or they will just ghost you and not reply you, right? So yes, that's typically some of the strategies the 9s use to reject. Okay. Another one, which is type 2. Type 2 has a need to be needed. Now, the type 2 are the heart center people. Heart center people tends to struggle more with validation from others and affirmation from others. So there's this need to be needed. So if knowing that saying no to you, you will not be happy, you will not need me the next time, you may not like me. So for 2s, it's hard for them to say no. So for them, it is out of the fact that I can be of help, because my self-worth and self-esteem hinges on whether you need me or not. So therefore, I don't want to be made redundant by you. I want you to still need me or like me or love me. So it's hard for the 2s to say no. So what happens? If you ever know a type 2, you might realize even in cases where they can't help, they would extend themselves, or they would enroll someone else to come in and help. So if you happen to be a family member of a type 2, you might relate to that. It's like, why is let's say my mom asking me to help that lady down the road, the old lady down the road? I don't know this lady and I don't want to help her, right? I have no relationship with her, but my mother will somehow enroll me to help someone that I don't really care about, right? So you do realize sometimes the 2s might not be the best in drawing boundaries. Yeah, right? So even though they don't have the ability to help, they will still want to somehow be there and be of help. Yeah, so that's the 2 for you. So you might realize the 2 and 9, they may exhibit similar behavior about difficulty in saying no, but you might realize it is out of a different motivation, and they also have different strategies in navigating through that. Yeah. So yes, so there you have it. So, and you have all the different things, like you talk about stubborn. Every type is stubborn about different things, right? You talk about procrastination. Every type procrastinates about different things. If you talk about being sensitive, every type is sensitive towards different things. So we are here to go deeper to understand what is it about. Yeah, and then we can be sharper, firstly, in reading people, observing people, and also before we judge or conclude, we can actually hold that thought in our head. Maybe that person is this type. Yeah. For example, let me share with you something interesting, right? Later, as I teach about type 5, you will learn that 5s are people with not much facial expression. And usually with my friends and my peers, sometimes I hang around with type 9s a lot, and I have a lot of type 9s friend. And when we just hang out, and they would say things like, oh, he's unhappy. That person seems angry. And I'm like, no, that person is not angry. The person is just a type 5 with no facial expression. But that doesn't mean that person is angry at you, right? Don't need to take it personally. But the nines, because they are very sensitive to potential signs of conflict arising, and when there's no warmth and when there is no smiles, they tend to perceive that as the person is upset or angry. And then I actually had to, tell them because I'm not a nine. So I actually have to say, no, the person don't look angry to me. He doesn't look upset to me. He seems fine. He just doesn't have any facial expression. And I said, maybe the person is a type 5. Then my friends are like, yeah, hor, maybe, hor. So that's how we speak in Singapore. Yeah, hor, maybe. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? Sometimes we read things differently based on our instincts and impulses. But actually, that person might not come off as angry to someone else, but it can come off as angry to other types. Okay, let's move on and go into all the different types. Okay, there's also another question people love to ask me right at the beginning. Does my Enneagram type change? Right? Because I have changed quite a bit in my lifetime. I've gone through a lot. I've hit the walls before. I've learned my lesson. I've done things differently from the past. So that is not about your type changing. That is about you moving up the mastery level. We call that the self-mastery level of your type. So every type has got a low mastery level to a high mastery level. So remember, your Enneagram type is actually the bottom, the roots, and it goes into your biology, how your body is wired. So your body doesn't change. It's the same body. You want the same thing. Your core motivation does not change, but you learn to be wiser. That's what I mean by moving up the mastery level. So let's just take type 9, for example. Type 9 is the peacemaker, avoid conflict at all costs, will not give a direct answer usually. And then whenever they are given two choices, they will usually take the choice that is with the least resistance. The choice with the least resistance, right? So they learn the hard lessons after that, right? They learn that, oh, if I always take the easy way out, that might not always be the best way. Because there are times where this easy way out is not solving the problem in the long run. It's just sweeping the problem under the carpet. So they learned the lesson and they learned that, okay, there must be times where I need to talk things out, take the tougher path. Yes, there may seems to be more resistance, but it will help me maintain the peace in the long run. What I want is still peace, but now it's not the short-term peace where I just sweep things under the carpet. Now is a long-term peace where it is more sustainable. I have a difficult conversation right now. I make a choice that is more sustainable, but at this point in time, we need to engage in some very uncomfortable, tough conversations, which makes the type 9 uncomfortable. But for the 9, it's like, okay, I got to sit through this discomfort for a bit in order to serve the bigger purpose, in order to maintain the peace in the longer run. So can you imagine? Lower mastery 9, avoid conflict at all costs, take the easiest way out, right? Sweep problems under the carpet. Highest mastery 9, imagine is a CEO of a company. You got to engage in difficult conversations, right? You can't just sweep problems under the carpet, right? They learn to, in fact, seek out difficult conversations in order to solve the problem in the long run, in order to keep the peace in the long run. So the lower mastery version of a type can look very different from a higher mastery version of a type. Okay, so we are going to go on with the different types, and then we're going to give you more real life examples at the same time.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasper Light. I'm a type 4.
Hi, I'm Belinda, and I am.
Okay, I'm going to skip this video because these are basically some Singaporean celebrities and movie actors and actresses that have attended our program. Okay, so now I am going to go into the different types. Let's go into type 1 first. The type 1, okay, they have a need to be perfect, the need to be right. So their core motivation is about doing things right. Okay, and let's take a look at the worldview. This is how they see the world. There is a right way, and let me teach you. So how many right way? Have a look. you will realize there's only one right way. Okay. And since I found the right way, all of you just follow my way of doing that. So that is when you might realize type 1 can come across as pretty rigid. But in a good way, they set things in place. They are people who go by the book, right? And they are very black and white, right and wrong. They are very good with qualities and standards, ISO, uh, uh, compliance, anything that requires precision, right? Safety, healthcare, right? You need high quality and high standards. Type 1s are naturally good with that. Okay. Of course, you might realize type 1s can also be quite critical in their words. That is because the biology of type 1, they actually have this natural disgust for things that are not right or things that are dirty, that's not right. So therefore, they will tell you things like, ugh, I can't help it, because their body is just reacting to it like, ugh. Of course, the extreme case would be like OCD kind of situation, right? But they will have that ugh for things that are not done right or not neat, right? And so they tend to have this very high critiquing themselves for not doing it right. All right. And then they tend to get angry with themselves. They tend to have very high standards of themselves. So for once, let's take a look at some examples of type 1s, right? And how they look. After you learn the Enneagram for some time, you can actually spot body language and facial expression of the different types. So you can see type 1s, maybe you can type in the chat box, how do they look to you? They are smiling, though, they are smiling. But what kind of smile is that? Yeah, what words would you use to describe them? Maybe you can type in the chat box. Yeah. Stern, yeah. Yeah, quite stern, right? I mean, they're smiling, but they're very highly self-regulated people, highly disciplined people, very prim and proper, power, yeah, egoistic. Every type can be egoistic, yeah. And you will realize that once they usually don't let themselves, they don't let loose. They don't let down their hair too much, they're very controlled and self-regulated. Yeah, so that's a one for you. Yes. And Japan culture is definitely very one. The daytime Japan and the nighttime Japan, you can see that is a very typical one culture. Culture. So not every Japanese are type 1, obviously, right? But it's a culture. The culture is very one-ish. So let's see. The connecting lines in the Enneagram diagram is telling us what is your growth areas. That means the Enneagram doesn't just tell you about your type. In fact, it doesn't put you in a box. A lot of people are very against profiling tools because it kind of puts you in a box. But if you realize the Enneagram has no box, it is a cycle, it is a flow, it is connection. It is actually telling you the box you are already in and what you need to do to get out of that box. So the connecting lines are about getting out of those boxes. So if you know you're a type 1, you tend to be quite fixated and rigid on things. Now, learn from type 7, which has that connecting line. There's something about 7 that the 1 can learn from. Of course, 7 can learn from 1 as well, right? 1 needs to learn from 7 to be YOLO a bit, to relax, have fun, enjoy life. Is not just black and white. Life has its colors too. So type 1s are the one that has a need to avoid pain. That's why in the midst of avoiding pain, they are always out there having fun, right? Having fun, enjoying life, indulging in what life can offer. So let's take a look at the type 7's worldview. So very different from 1, right? YOLO, you only live once. I must go where no one has gone. The world is full of exciting possibilities, experiences, and concepts. My mission is to explore them all. Not some, but all. So 7s are highly optimistic and they have high energy, very adventurous to try new stuff. Okay. And you can see who are the famous 7s. Okay. And of course, 7s being optimistic, the flip side is too optimistic, right? So that's when you do get the toxic optimism. So there is always that balance that we need to draw. So for 7s, the good stuff is they bring a lot of joy, fun, energy into the room. But sometimes they jump in too quickly without thinking. That's why the next step, they have to learn from the type 5. Okay, so let's talk a bit about 7. Seven in workplace, how are we going to motivate them? Because you can see sevens are fast-paced people and they are motivated by fun and joy and new concepts. So if you are, example, dealing with a type 7 client or stakeholders, in fact, the words like, this is a new product, this is a quick fix to something, or this can help you get rid of the pain quickly. Usually the sevens will love it. Something new that they want to try, you are the first few to try. Don't miss out. So in fact, the YOLO, they're not just YOLO, they're also FOMO, fear of missing out. So usually the seven doesn't want to miss out. They want to be the first few to try that new product. So they're excited about new. So you might realize later as we talk about another type, anything new, they won't want to try. Right? Because not proven, not tested. I don't want to be the first to try. But for sevens, they are very open to try new stuff. Yeah. And they are very adventurous to be the first to experiment, or if this is exclusive trial for the first 1 month or something. Sevens are very keen on that. And if you want to motivate a seven at work, the motivation got to be really short term. So which means instant gratification. As you can see, you can't tell them to work on something and the reward will come only 1 year later. They will not have the tenacity to last through. So you need to give them little carrots along the way, like 2 months, 3 months. There's a check-in and there's some little rewards for them. So that's a seven for you. The reward doesn't even need to be expensive. The reward doesn't even need to be meaningful. Okay? The reward just needs to be fun. Okay, fun. So they're interested in something fun. I'll share a very interesting example with you. We have trained quite a bit of sales personnel, okay, and one of those are in the insurance industry. So one day, the director of the agency, because they usually do road shows here in Singapore, road shows, which means they have a booth here and then they have to approach people to collect leads, collect numbers, right? Approach strangers. So if the director told this type 7, hey, if you can collect 40 phone numbers today, I'm going to drink up 3 big bottles of 1.5-liter water in front of you guys. So, this is really not meaningful, right? It's not even monetary. But to the type 7, it's fun to see my director, who is usually a very fierce and stern guy, drinking 3 big bottles of water in front of us. Wow, that's fun, right? So guess what? The type 7 definitely has managed to hit the targets, right? And not just that, she called along the whole team and even do the live sessions to get the whole team to watch the director drink up the 3 big bottles of water in a very pathetic, pitiful manner, right? And to the type 7, it's fun, right? So hope that gives you some ideas on how to motivate a 7. Likewise for type 7 kids, if you have type 7 kids at home. Okay, let's move on. After 7, let's go to 5. Now, 5s are the one that thinks a lot. They will slow down and think. Usually the 7 jump in before thinking. So they need to learn from 5 to slow down and think a bit more. So let's take a look at the 5s. The 5s are the investigator, the need to perceive, the need to know things. So let's take a look at the worldview of type 5. Okay, it says, I am the master of my private world built by my superior commitment to special knowledge. So first keyword that probably stood up for you is they are very private people. They probably are your colleagues. You have worked with them for the last 3 years, but they don't tell you a lot of personal stuff. They don't even tell you who they are staying with. They may not even tell you that they have a twin brother or whether they have a pet or not. They don't see a need to divulge such information because work and personal life is separate. So usually for 5, you will know you are a 5 if you do a lot of compartmentalization. You compartmentalize people in your life, you compartmentalize feelings, you compartmentalize data and info, and everything is a data point. Yeah, finance or IT people, yeah. But okay, having said that, Melinda, not everyone is like that. However, yes, we do see a lot of 5 in such industries like IT programmers, IT people, right? And then we do also see a lot of them in CID. I actually conducted a class in Singapore in CID is the investigation department by the police. And a lot of them are 5. Like 80% of the class is type 5, right? Usually a 5 will tell you, I watch documentaries to relax. I watch things that are brainy, like investigating a murder case to relax. So maybe if you're not a 5, you'll be like, huh? Right? Is that even relaxing? But for the 5, they love it because I'm gathering new knowledge. So when they compartmentalize, you might realize that your colleagues they treat you as colleagues, okay? Colleagues are in the colleagues box. Colleagues are not friends. They are separate. So they keep things separate because for 5, they prefer to what we call conserve energy. So if you realize they don't talk much, they don't smile much, it's hard to read them. You don't even see much facial expression. So if you're in the sales line, these are probably the difficult clients for you because they don't give you anything to read, right? That's actually their way of protecting themselves. They don't want to give out information that you can use against them. So they give you nothing to read. And also at the same time, they have very little body language. They also speak with very little words, right? So that's a 5 for you. That's how you spot a 5. And they need their personal space. Personal space is super important to them. They cannot do without. They need their personal space, number 1, to recharge their battery. They tend to have low social battery. So if you bring them out for a networking session with a lot of people, they will tell you too many data points. They're very tired. Their social battery is drained. Okay, they need to be alone to recharge. So this is the first thing they do when they are on their own. The second R they do is because they are people who love to perceive and learn new things. So they usually also research. Research means reading up on information that they like, watching videos on the topics that they like. Okay, so they do this 2R. And the third R they do in their personal space is they reflect. They tend to reflect about the day. Well, some of us, right, certain Enneagram types, we don't reflect enough, right? Like we don't have the habit of doing reflections. That could be a trained behavior over time. But for 5, by default, they would set aside personal time, me time to do that. So they're very okay eating alone, shopping alone, watching movies alone. So if you have a colleague like that, right? Maybe sometimes people find them quite a loner, but actually they're very happy being alone, because when I'm alone, I don't have to talk to anybody, so I'm conserving energy. So they are constantly on energy conservation mode. So just look out for these energy conservation mode people. You probably guess that they are type 5s. Yeah, and again, they don't have much facial expression, right? So it doesn't mean they're not happy with you, They just don't have any facial expression because they're conserving energy. Okay, Ambridge says, could you please say the 3 R's? Oh, research, recharge, and reflect. Okay, sounds like an introvert. Yeah, I think 90% of the 5s are introverts, but there are also extroverted 5s, and that is something we teach in the higher level on instinct. There are 3 different instincts for every type, 3 different dominant instincts for every type. So there is a social instinct. So social instinct 5 tends to be more of an extrovert. Okay, so let's continue. So there's a 5 for you. Usually for 5, the way to talk to them is to give them more information, give them information that they cannot find on internet, and they need to rely on your expertise. So 5 tends to purchase based on competency. So you have to show you are competent. And with a 5, do not be over familiar with them. You don't, do a lot of body contact, like, hey sis, hey bro, like too much of that, they're not comfortable. Just keep the relationship professional. Remember, they compartmentalize. So just treat it as a professional relationship, provide them with the information that they need. You don't need to be very animated or hype up because all this drains their energy. So you can also conserve energy while talking to a type 5. You just need to be lower energy. You can be a bit cold, just say it as a matter of fact, right? And they're okay with that. They just take in data points. So no need to be extra animated. In fact, all the animations and emotions are very draining for the 5. Okay, so I hope you're learning something new about type 5s and probably how to interact with them. One of the way also to build rapport with them is to talk to them about things they know a lot about. So it's never heart to heart talk because they're very cerebral people. They are always in the head. So you talk to them about the topics they know a lot about. They probably have read up a lot about. One of the good ways, good clue is if you can find them on social media, if they can be found. Many of them are also very private. They may have no accounts or two separate accounts. Another way you can find them is LinkedIn. Definitely, they would have listed down their professional knowledge because fives are deep into mastery of their craft. You would know what are they reading up about, what kind of knowledge they have a lot about, especially related to their profession, their work. So that is a good way to build rapport with a five, right? To talk about what they know a lot about. So remember the relationship currency. Every type has a different relationship currency. 7 is about fun. Type 5 is about knowledge. So it's a different thing. You need to give the different currency to build relationship with different ones. Okay, so let's take a look at the famous 5. Ta-da! No surprise, right? The inventors. So there's a 5 for you. And then after that, the 5. Now, 5s are always in their head and they do need to get out of the box. So they need to learn from the 8. Of course, the 5 can learn from the 7 too, right? So there are a few things you can learn. You have to learn from the connecting lines and also the neighboring types. Yeah. So in class, we will actually go deeper about the neighboring types, the connecting lines, what is it all about. But for the sake of just today, I'm just giving you one direction. That's about it. At least give you a taster of what is it about. So 5 tends to have a lot of great ideas in the head, but they need to put themselves out there. So that's where they need to learn from the 8. The 8 are the challenger, the need to be in control. So they need to put themselves out there to control the situation or to speak up a little bit more, be more assertive. So let's take a look at the worldview of type 8, right? I am strong and in charge. I avenge the weak and expose the power abusers, the pretenders, and the fools. So you can see 5s are authoritative. They are what I call the mafia boss. If you are my brother, I protect you to the end. If you're not my brother, then you're my enemy. So what happens to the enemy? The enemy have to die a miserable death. So that is when sometimes people are wondering, why are the 8s so hostile? Why are they so vengeful? So you got to understand, because they are here to serve the justice, right? In order for justice to be served, there must be two elements. There must be reward for people who are doing it right, and there must be reward for people who are doing it wrong. There must be punishment for people who are doing it wrong. So therefore, type 8 have no qualms thinking about the punishment and even be the bad guy to execute the punishment. So the 8 will say that, it is a dirty job that needs to get done. And somehow someone needs to do it. And so if other people don't want to do it, I can do it. Right? And they don't care about how people see them. Okay. And because they don't care about how people see them, they are able to make big changes. They are able to take bold actions and make big changes to the society. Let's take a look at who are the famous 8s. Again, there's different mastery level, okay? Different mastery level. So yeah, I mean, LKY is a great example, like how he moved Singapore from a third world to a first world country in just one generation. So at war times, when things are messy, you do need a type 8 leader to change things up a little bit. Yeah. So there you have it. Like Martin Luther King too, right? He was angry about injustice, but he did it in a really elegant way, which is great. So yeah. So the thing is, different mastery level for the different, so 8s, because the 8s will do what they think is right. Keyword, what they think. So that can be quite subjective, what they think. So that's something about 8 that you need to know. So 8s, if you ever have an 8 client, sometimes people see them as a bit scary, especially in Asia culture, like, they challenge you, they put up an objection in your face before you could even say anything sometimes. Basically, they are just here to challenge you. When they throw an objection at you, it doesn't mean they don't want, they're not interested. They are testing you. They are trying to test how much you know your stuff, how convicted you are about your product and services. So if an 8 throws an objection, okay, I just give you one very interesting example that I have faced before, okay, real case scenario. I was trying to promote the Enneagram program to an F&B business owner. right, to train his staff and his shop owners, shop managers. So before I could even say anything, he walks in. Of course, how we spot a type 8, they usually walk with big gesture, big body language, and there is this aura when they walk in. And then when they shake your hand, it's definitely firm handshake. You can sense that power and aura. So it's very clear that this guy is a type 8, just by the way he walks in, right? And then he just straight away tell me this, no, without even me saying a single thing about Enneagram. He just said, okay, to be honest, training is good, no offense, but why do I need to train my staff? After that, they will leave me anyway. Right? So what to say next? So because I know he's a 8, and 8 people are the kind that they want a trustworthy opponent and they respect someone who can fight back. The Chinese, it says 不打不相识, they must fight. So okay, so I fight, right? Fight back. So I asked him, so what kind of course did you make them go through? Why after they attend, they leave you? What kind of course is that? I'm very curious. So he said, oh, it's some customer service program. Then I said, oh, boss, you know what's the problem here? They didn't want to go for this kind of training. You make them go for this training to help you make more money. Obviously, they're not very happy to attend such training, right? But then, the Enneagram is nothing about making more money. It's about helping them understand themselves and how they can build better relationships with people around them. So if you show yourself as a caring boss that truly cares for them and their well-being and their relationships, don't you think they will be more loyal and they will stay? So he was like, oh, interesting. Like I didn't see that coming, that kind of thing. Like I have to challenge him back. With the 8, you just need to, show that you can hold your ground, and they don't have a lot of time to listen to your explanation. So the way that I reply him, it was just less than 30 seconds, and he was convinced, right? Immediately when he was convinced, he was like, okay, very good. He turned to his wife, okay, we can do the training next Friday. Let's do it. And I'm like, oh, I haven't even tell him how much, in my head. I haven't even quoted my price. That's one. And secondly, I asked him, aren't you going to check with your team if they can make it? And then he said, no need. If I say they show up, they all better show up. So I'm like, okay, that's great. So once you do a great job with a type 8, they will be a loyal customer and they will call their whole gang of people to you. So that's how a 8 works. They are usually your center of influence. After they are convinced about you, they will introduce a lot of people to you. So that's an 8. So initial phase might be quite a fight, might be uncomfortable. So if you are a type 9 here in this place, you might find, having to fight through this is quite uncomfortable. Or some of you are like, oh, I'm not so quick to think on my feet, But after okay, and you sense that this person is an 8, then you got to train up that skill set to be able to deal with them. So that's the next step, right? So knowing how they prefer to be treated is one thing. Training yourself to be able to do it and deliver that is the next step. So that's an 8 for you, by the way. I would say in the past, I wouldn't be able to do what I did if I have not learned the Enneagram. Yeah, because I'm quite the timid person that would not feel comfortable trying to fight back an 8. Like, why need to get so hostile and why need to be so direct? Because being so direct is not so nice, in our culture, right? In Asian culture, it's too direct, too in the face. But apparently it works for the 8. So yeah, new skill set unlocked after learning the Enneagram. Okay, so there's an 8 for you. Now, 8, they are very strong, they're very powerful, but what do they need to do? That's when you get another connecting line to type 2. They need to learn to use their power to help and empower others. Then that makes a very benevolent, good, nurturing type 8, right? Rather than just power hungry and power hoarding, they actually use it to help and empower others. So let's take a look at type 2. The 2 are the ones that put other people's needs first. And essentially it comes from the need to be needed, right? So I support and empower others, they can't do without me. So usually for type 2s, they are very sensitive to people's needs, okay? They're very sensitive to people's needs. You see, every type is sensitive about different things. Type 7 is sensitive to what is pain, and they're very quick to avoid the pain, right? 5 are sensitive to data points, information, sound, and noise, right? Type 8s are very sensitive to power play. When the type 8 step into the room, they know who is the decision maker. They know how to play this politics and how to do the power play, right? So they're sensitive to that. And two, they're sensitive to people's needs. You see, every type is sensitive to different things. So twos are sensitive to people's needs, and they don't even have to say, you don't even have to say anything. The two might just jump in and offer their help. The lower mastery two really tends to cross boundaries. They don't even ask if you need their help. They just jump in and help, right? The twos, they are very selfless in helping others. In the way they help, they can be very generous in giving their time, energy, effort, money, everything, right? Everything they're willing to give. And for twos, let's take a look at the famous two. See how they look? They look very kind, right? There's a different look from the type ones. So you can see for the twos, sometimes what is the challenge with communicating with a two is that sometimes you really don't need their help. And I always get this question in class, how can I tell a type 2 I don't need their help, right? So I share with you one very interesting scenario. There was one time a type 8 was, so 8 and 2, we were helping up at somebody's wedding. So the type 8 was just like laying the carpet and doing his stuff, right? And the type 2 came and asked, hey, how are you? Do you need help? You know, as type 8's response, no need, go away. And the type 2 is so hurt. The type 2 took it so personally and thought that he doesn't like her. But it's not, because that's just the way a type 8 talks, right? 8 would just use the least number of words that generates the biggest action. So usually they will talk in a very commanding tone. That's an 8 for you, right? But when the 8 talks like that to a 2, the 2 feels so hurt and so rejected, right? Because of the 2 is like trying to help and I'm just rejected and don't need, go away. Wow, it sounds so bad, right? So the 2 was very, very hurt. But after learning the Enneagram, now the 2 knows that not everybody needs my help and not everyone rejects in a nice way. Okay, so how do we reject in a way that does not hurt the type 2's feelings? So this is when I offer the 3A strategy. 3A. Okay, the first A is to let the type 2 hear what they want to hear. You see, when they help, what is the 2 magical words that they want to hear? Please type in the chat box. What is the word that warms their heart, that makes them feel life is worth living, that makes them feel there's still warmth in this world, that makes them feel a sense of belonging and sense of existence? What is the 2 magical words they want to hear after they help someone? Very good, thank you. And that's what they really want to hear, that warms their heart, okay, that gives them a sense of existence. So let them hear the appreciation. First A, appreciation. So for example, let me just give you a very typical scenario. At work, you would realize your type 2 colleague may be busy helping everyone in the team doing their tasks, but they will neglect their own task. Because when I do the task for everyone else, they will say thank you, right? But when I do my own task, will the type 2 say thank you to themselves? No. So my own task is less attractive for me to do, right? Other people's tasks are more attractive. So they will help everybody with their tasks. Okay, so now you are the department head. You have to tell this type 2 staff, please do your own stuff. Stop helping everyone else do their things. So now you have to use the 3A method. First A, thank you so much for being so helpful, so willing to help the team. Thank you so much. Then the second A is alternative. Give the alternative help. However, I really need your help. I really need your help to do your own task. And this is the task only you can do. You know, when you do your task, you're actually helping the whole company, right? You're trying to help the team, but I need you to help the whole company because this job scope only you can do it, right? So can you please help me to do your task first, right? And then there's the second A, right? Alternative. Then the third A, assurance. That means you assure them that, don't worry. I assure you, if the team still need help and we still cannot make it, we really need help, you will be the first person we call. Then they will feel like still needed, right? Yeah. So that is how you tell the type 2 to not help. Don't help and do something else instead. So 3 steps. Appreciation, show appreciation, right? Appreciate, alternative, and assurance. Okay, so do the 3A strategy. That will really help you get the type 2 to do what you need them to do. Okay, so that's for the type 2. Let's continue. 2 are very others focused. So they need to learn from the 4 to be more self-focused, to be more sensitive to their own needs, because many a times the 2 sacrifice their own needs for the needs of others, right? So the 4 are the ones that, you know, they have the need to be special. They're very sensitive to their own needs and their own emotions. So over here, the worldview, my work is authentic, with depth, insights, and style. Yet, if only things were different. So 4s are the artistic people that has a sense of beauty. They see things very differently from others. They believe in the beauty of people, right? Of nature. And they are very good at creating something out of nothing, right? Creating a creative piece. And they're very in touch with their emotions. In fact, many 4s will say that, yeah, I can use many, many words to describe my emotions. I can even describe my emotions in colors. My whole day, my emotions going up and down like a stock market, right? And because of this very in touch with emotions, it also allows them to create. They're inspired by things outside and within, and they could combine it to make it into a masterpiece. Yeah, I choose not to use the word emotional because that sounds like a bad word in our society. It's like we have no time for emotions, you know. But being in touch with emotions is a good thing, right? And we need a healthy dosage of that from time to time. So 4s are very sensitive to other people's emotions as well. They could step in the room and feel that, oh, there's a lot of anxiety in this room, or people are feeling general feelings like a lot of sadness. What do they feel? They can feel a lot. And usually if they don't manage that ups and downs, they may appear to be melancholic or a little moody from time to time. And sometimes productivity can be affected by mood as well. Like, you know, the artist, right? Today I'm not in the mood. It's very hard, not inspired to create, you know. But on a good day, you can see the 4s are very romantic, very inspired, creative. Let's take a look at the famous type 4, okay? Ta-da! I put the male 4 because the females, there are a lot, right? That we can think of. Usually those traits that we see, right, seems to be more, you know, female, right? But when you have a male that is like that, they're very different. Of course, Asian, we do have like Zhang Guorong, Liang Chaowei, they're all type 4s, right? If you ever watch their interviews, you know they are 4s. And you know they are one of its kind. Like there is no second of them. It's just them and them, like one of its kind. And that's what a 4 is. So for 4s, usually if you want them to take action on something, like to purchase a product, usually they like things that are customized, that are personalized, that are not like mainstream. So if we have people that, you know, would like to bring their type 4 clients out for appointment, like, you know, just to catch up, usually we advise them, please don't go to Starbucks, don't go to McDonald's, don't go to things that are places that are very mainstream. Bring them to places that have some mood. Like in Singapore, we have PS Cafe, you know, something that's like a bit nostalgic, some place that is thematic, Instagrammable place that will actually make them feel more in the mood lah. Yeah, they feel good. And usually for 4s, they're very expressive about their feelings. So they appreciate a good in-depth conversation. So they may not like a conversation that is too task-oriented, like, okay, we're here to settle this thing. So let's get on the task. 4s, they like a bit of that small talk and a bit of that storytelling. And for 4s, they are people that are very big on meaning. And that is when a lot of bosses, they don't understand. It's like, it's not just about the money, it's about the meaning. And sometimes we do hear type 4s that would tell us things like, I quit my job because I don't feel connected to the management. So it's not about the money, it's about some sort of connection. So you need to understand 4s are people who value emotional connection. And that might already sound like a challenge for the type 5, right? If you realize, because 5s are the very cerebral type, while 4 is the very hard type and very in-depth with feelings type. And so that's when you do see, you know, certain types, if they're not trained or they're not exposed to that environment, they may find it a little more challenging in building rapport or communicating with certain types. Yeah, I do have people who have attended our class and says that, wow, I've never understood like the type 8s, or I've never understood the type 4s, or these are the people I tend to avoid. If not for the Enneagram class, you are like the first type 4 friend I ever have. You know, they will say things like that. You are the first type 8 friend I ever have, because I generally avoid these people. But it's really this understanding of the different types, why are they being the way they are, that slowly but surely they look a bit more adorable to you. You kind of understand, oh, this is why. Oh, this is what they're struggling with. Oh, when they say things, these things, this is what they need. So 4s are generally the ones that need the emotional connection and the storytelling and the meaning. Yeah. So it's not so pragmatic, it's not about the dollars and cents. Okay, so let's move on. So the 4 needs to learn from 3, and now the 3 is the pragmatic one. So remember, we learned from the connecting lines and the neighboring types. So now we go on to 3. Now 3 is the achiever, the need to succeed, the need to get things done. So the 4s needs to learn from 3 as well, right? I cannot be like, oh, today not in the mood. I don't go to work lah, or I don't produce. I have no new art piece coming out. I have no creativity. My poster, I couldn't get it out. You can't do that. There are sometimes deadlines, KPI, timeline, milestones that we need to comply to. So that's the 3 for you. The 3 is the performer or the achiever, the need to succeed, the need to get things done. So the biology of a type 3, you will know you are a type 3 if you know that you cannot really take a break. When there's nothing to do, your body feels uncomfortable and your body feels like looking for things to do. You will go and embark on some small projects or find things to do. You just cannot have a period that you're not doing much. So in fact, a lot of 3s, if they kind of lose their job, they get depressed because the work equals to identity and self-worth. So they need to be up to something. They need to be doing something. So the biology, so let me talk a little deeper so you can appreciate this. Type 3s tends to have excess orexin. Orexin is a chemical that regulates hunger behavior. That's why for 3, the word hungry for success, hungry for things to do. That's why when there's nothing to do, they will want to find things to do. That's the reason. But of course, after learning the Enneagram, we also learn there is this natural impulse in our body, but it doesn't mean we have to attend to it. It doesn't mean we have to do something. It means we can just sit. We can still just be and take a break. But the 3s would tell you is that very difficult because the body just feels uncomfortable, needs to be up and going to do something. Taking a break is not a comfort zone for the 3. But after that, after learning, lessons in life, sometimes type 3s do take a relationship crisis or health crisis to wake up the idea. Otherwise, a lot of 3s, when they were younger, they will tell you, I only sleep 4 hours a day kind of thing. They see sleeping as a waste of time, right? If I take a break, my competitors, others will be faster than me. So you can see the worldview of type 3, right? The world is a contest and I can win if I work hard and appear successful. So it's about working hard and making the appearance work. So 3s are naturally very good at branding, marketing, sales, packaging, right? They're naturally good with that. Selling an idea, selling a product, selling themselves. Usually you would realize for the 3, taking a break is very difficult. And they may look like human doing instead of human being. So ask them to just be, relax, take a break. It's very difficult for the type 3. Yeah, the good thing about 3, they are very fast. They get things done, very efficient, right? And they are very good at recognizing shortcuts to get things done. But of course, the 3 also learn their lessons in life. Not all shortcut you can take, right? And it's also important to take note of processes and feelings, because sometimes when the 3s are trying to get things done, they may neglect feelings of people and neglect their own feelings, right? And so you see who are the famous type 3s. Usually the motivational speaker as well. They will have certain good tips, life hacks to teach you how to do good time management, how to squeeze more things into your schedule, how to be really productive, and the 3s will feel a sense of fulfillment when I check off all my boxes. I have been a useful citizen of society. So you see the 3s tend to tie their self-worth from what they do, with what they do, with their work. you see, and that is also a growth. So if we talk about using Enneagram, not just for connecting with people, but connecting back with ourselves for spiritual growth and for self-development. The growth for the 3 is really learning to detach self-worth from the work, right? That means my self-worth is not determined by what I do. My self-worth, I am of worth just the way I am, just by being in existence, right? I don't have to tie my self-worth to what I do or bringing more things to the table. So you will realize for type 3, the relationship currency is value. Value. What value can I bring to you? What value do you bring to me? All right, it cannot be a waste of time, right? So the value may not be monetary. The value can be things like something that is intrinsic, like, oh, you're a funny guy, right? Being with you makes me laugh, helps me relax. Okay, so that is a value. It can also be, oh, you're really knowledgeable. Being around you, I learn new stuff. That's of a value. Or it could also be, what value can I offer to you? Like, for example, you are starting out an entrepreneurship journey, and I can be of help to you. I can guide you and mentor you. So that's also of value. So it has to be of some value. It cannot be like a waste of time. After that interaction, I felt I've wasted my time. I got nothing out of it. I feel more lousy about myself after that. Okay, so that is a 3 for you. Okay, let's move on. After 3, let's learn from the 6, because 3 tends to neglect processes, remember? So we need to learn from 6 to take care of processes and be more careful. So 6, the need for security. And because there are people who are always thinking of worst case scenario, they are very good at backup plan, contingency plan, and scenario planning. Okay, so let's take a look at the worldview. The world is dangerous. Truth is hidden. Appearances are suspicious. I need trustworthy allies. So you would realize that the type 6ers tends to think of worst case scenario first, and when they think of the worst case scenario, they don't just sit there with it. They actually plan. They actually plan for what could happen, and they prepare in advance. So for the 6ers, they are definitely very step by step and very process driven, because they don't want the worst case scenario to happen. And why are they loyal? Basically, they don't like changes. Right? So if I like this product, I stick to the product. If I like this friend, I stick to this friend. So usually you might realize the type 6ers are the people who keep friendships for a long time. That's why the trustworthy allies, when I ask them in class, how long have you known these trustworthy allies? They will tell you since primary school, since secondary school, since high school, right? They tend to keep friendships for a long time because these are people that are familiar to them. So they work well with familiarity. Any new environment gives them a lot of anxiety. So they prepare, and double prepare in advance so that it could help them get rid of their anxiety. So have a look. Who are the famous 6ers? Yeah. Having said that, a lot of Enneagram practitioners, we also suspect that in Singapore, our ex-PM Prime Minister and the current Prime Minister is likely also a 6. 6ers makes good leader in peacetime, not in wartime, in peacetime. So they are usually the one that takes over the father's business. So they also make very good second-gen business owner. They take over. So they're usually not the trailblazers. They are the one that keep things in place and make sure the company, the country don't collapse. Take over the father's business. So like for Singapore, the strategy is always in peacetime, we got to plan for war. So that's a very 6-ish kind of mentality. So that's a 6 for you. Steady moving ship. That's right. And then the 6ers, they tend to be very uptight. They tend to be thinking of all the worst case scenario. Can you imagine? Very uptight and very anxious, right? And it's very hard for them to let it go. It's very hard for them to go with the flow. And that's what they actually need to learn from the 9. The 9s are the ones that go with the flow. And, don't be so uptight, relax, chill. And there's a need to avoid conflict, to avoid discomfort, remember? So 9s are the peacemaker. The worldview, everything will work out if we stay calm, be nice, and give way. So they are the ones that tends to sit on the fence. They usually don't take sides. So if you try to recruit an ally to take your side, usually the 9s will not be recruited. When A comes to 9 to say something bad about B, the type 9 will say something good about B to the A, right? Will say the perspective of B. Perhaps he doesn't mean that. Maybe he has a bad day. Perhaps it could be this, it's a misunderstanding. So if you are A, is this what you want to hear? Probably not, right? You want the type 9 to be on your side. But usually you won't hear that from the 9. The 9 will not take sides, and the 9 would share with you the other perspective, hoping that you will see the other perspective. Okay? And same thing, if the B comes to the 9 to say something bad about A, type 9 will do the exact same thing too. Relate the other perspective to the B. So they usually sit on the fence and they don't take sides. They do get caught in the middle of relationships, especially if it's not at work. Because at work, it's very clear. When there's SOP, they can just follow the SOP. No conflict, right? If cannot claim, you have passed the deadline for the claims, just follow SOP. No conflict. The SOP is there to protect them, right? But if it is not about work, it's about personal relationship, like between my wife and my mother. That's what the type 9 guys are always stuck in between, and there's no SOP, right? But this is my mom, but that's my wife. It's always very tough. And they tend to be the one mediating in between, and they may not make a strong stand on whichever side. And the 9s are very good at sussing out, sensitive to potential signs of conflict arising. So usually when they feel uncomfortable, they will tell you, in the class, we actually ask them, how does your body feels? They could actually tell you heart palpitations, sweaty palms, uncomfortable, butterflies in the stomach. Their body feels uncomfortable when they sense tension. When they sense, oh no, the person is talking louder and louder. Oh no, the person's facial expression changed. Oh no, the person is having bigger body language. Conflict is coming, so they will perceive all that as conflict is coming. And their body feels uncomfortable and they feel like getting out of that space. They will either excuse themselves, walk out, or they will do whatever they take to mediate. Oh, come on, calm down. Or they try to change topic. Oh, the food is here. Come. Don't talk already. Let's eat. So they will do things like that to get rid of the tension. So if you do notice someone around you does things like that, they are likely a 9, responding to that discomfort in their body. And many of the times, the interesting thing about 9 is they may not be very aware of their own thoughts. Okay? And they're not very aware of their own preference. They tend to be very thoughtful about others, but they may not be as thoughtful about themselves. So they tend to belittle themselves and become over accommodating. So if you ask them for their preference, usually they may not tell you directly on the silver platter, especially if you are not that close, right? They would just say, yeah, you decide. What do you want for lunch? You decide. Anything. So they don't have to, cause potential conflict should what I choose is different from what you want. So that's a 9. And actually communicating with a 9 has been a very big challenge because especially in Singapore, majority is a 9. 30% of the population here is like 9. Every 3 person you meet, one is likely a type 9. And because the 9 don't share their preference openly and they don't share their inputs openly, usually they just go with the flow. And sometimes it's hard to read their mind, like what do they want? Yeah, so we do spend quite a lot of time talking about how to build relationships with 9 because it's just hard to read them sometimes because they don't tell you much about them. In fact, many a times the type 9 don't even have a lot of awareness about themselves because they don't think much about themselves. They tend to think more for others. So yes, there's a 9 for you. High mastery 9 can be president, UN president, US president, and that's a low mastery 9 that tends to let problems sleep and sweep things under the carpet. So we call them the sleepy 9, who just goes with the flow. And there are also the awakened 9, who knows when the flow is not taking them to where they want to go and they know where to jump out of that flow. So 9s, in a good way, they can see things from everyone's perspective. Yeah, really, they can see things from everyone's perspective. You see, they sit right on top of the Enneagram diagram. They can really see things from everyone's perspective, but they may not offer what they see, their insights to people. They just keep it within themselves. Yeah, they do see a lot of things that people don't see. Other types, they may not be so good at seeing all perspectives, but 9, they're really good at it. That's why you realize type 9 tends to be friends with everybody. They don't usually make enemies, and it's kind of hard to dislike a 9 until some crises happen. Because many a times the 9, they don't do things to hurt people, but they may react too late. They may speak up too late, or they may offer their perspectives too late, not early enough. So that is actually a nice growth homework. Their lifetime homework is to learn to see more of their own perspective and to speak up so that others know them, and to be able to sit in discomfort from time to time because their relationship currency tends to be comfort. And sometimes it does take some discomfort to build lasting relationships. So that's also the growth, to get out of the box for the 9. So yes, here we are. We got 9 animals on the farm, 9 different types. So you can also now see, right, all the different types when we come together in a team, or we go for an outing, or we go for trips together, you can already see how certain worldviews can be clashing. For example, 8 and 9. For example, 6 and 7. 6 is always the worst case scenario. 7 is always the best case scenario. The type 7 is jump in, do first, and the type 5 is think first. Don't do anything yet, right? And you can see the 3 is let's go, let's do it. And then the 6 is wait, let's go through the steps first. It's like the devil's advocate, right? Talking about what could go wrong. So in a team, we do need all the 9 types. We cannot say one type is better than the other. Yes, even though culturally, in terms of culture, certain types are more in favor. Like, there are certain types that looks more sexy and more wanted, more envied and desired by certain culture. For example, in Singapore, right? It's like, oh, great to be a type 3 because the culture is very 3-ish. Like, don't be certain types because we have no time for that. We need to be productive, So certain types are more in favor by certain culture. However, learning about the types also help you to navigate through all the differences, and knowing that we need every type in a team and no one is perfect. Every type complements each other. Yeah. Okay, so with that, I open up the time to Q&A. If you have any question, please feel free to type in the chat box. So I've quickly addressed all the 9 types, right? And of course, if you'd like me to go into like more specific case study between one type and another, please feel free to type in the chat. Yeah, I'll be happy to answer your questions. It can be about anything: love and relationship, parenting, workplace skill set, communication, sales, anything at all. Like you see, type 7, you need to bring them to new places, right? Type 4, you need to bring them to non-mainstream places that is nostalgic and thematic, right? Type 6s, you need to bring them to the same old place. They don't want to change. So if the appointment is on Wednesday, 12 p.m. next week, our appointment will be Wednesday, 12 p.m. at the same cafe. Don't change anything. Go to places where they're familiar with. Is it common that one can be more than one type now? Let's go back to the 3 that we've talked about right at the beginning. Okay, and I get this question all the time. Let's go back to the 3. Remember this 3? We can have the traits, the behavioral traits of all the 9 types. And yes, depending on different circumstances, you can behave like an 8 if you need to, behave like a 9 if you need to, behave like a 4 if you need to. Those are just the traits of the type. But the core motivation, which is right at the bottom, you only have one. So therefore, what will be the motivation, for example, for the type 3 to behave like a type 9 or behave like a type 6 or behave like a type 4? So it goes back to the core motivation of the 3. For 3, it's about success. It's about getting to the end goal, getting the objective met. So if it means for me to behave like a peacemaker and to mediate differences in this situation in order to reach the end goal, to reach the success, the objective, the 3 will do it. You see, the motivation goes back to success. However, if the person is not a type 3, let's say the person is a type 9, and because this type 9 is in a sales environment, and if what it means for you to maintain your peace, your inner peace, and to meet your sales quota will give you inner peace, is to behave like a 3, to get things done, hit your KPI, right? Do good time management, then do it. So for the 9, they behave like the 3 for another reason. It's not about success. In fact, for the 9, it's never about the success. It's about maintaining the harmony, the inner peace. And also, if let's say there is a team goal, then it is actually for the team. It's not so much about myself. I just want to be sure I'm not pulling the team down, because 9 is always about others' focus. So the 9 can behave like a 3 for a 9 motivation. Make sense? And the 3 can behave like a 9 for a 3 motivation. So therefore, to answer your question, the core type, the core motivation, your biology don't change. But if you are able to acquire the traits of more types, yes, that's about being versatile. That is your mastery level. That is your growth. Yeah, I hope I answered that question. Thank you for the question. Okay, any other question? Okay, if there's no question, I'm going to hand the time back to Friven. That's going to share with
cool.
what are some new offerings. Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, good response from Val. Just gonna go back to my slide. Okay, everyone. If you still have any questions, please type it right now, because we've got like maybe 2 or 3 more minutes. I hope you enjoyed what Cindy has shared, and it's great learning. Even for me, listening to her every time, I get some really interesting insights. I want to share that what we're offering is that there is a 180 question quiz, and what you will get is you will get a report similar to what you see on the screen. It's about 10 pages, and this report will help you to understand yourself better. It gives you some interesting insights. This is the QR code. So this is, if you want to take a screen capture, you can use the QR code to go to the page. And I want to highlight on the right side of this slide, when you go to the page, the only important information is your name, your email, and you setting yourself a password, and for the registration code to type in TEA. The other information like the NRIC contact number, those are not critical, but you do have to enter a number. And in fact, the number, it must be a number that no one else has used before, for example, the NRIC. And if you are located in Singapore, you can consider joining the 2-day full class with the Enneagram Academy, and that is a Skills Future credit course. So it's really, really attractive. So